It arrived in a thick white envelope delivered by a courier with too much perfume and not enough eye contact. I knew what it was the moment I saw the return address. Her lawyer, the one she'd been name-dropping in every passive-aggressive post for the past week. Inside 4 pages of legal threats, accusations, and a bold-faced headline, intent to pursue civil action. I read it once, then again. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was desperate. And the moment I put that letter down, I realized something. She had just made the biggest mistake of her life. She'd been building up to it for weeks. First came the Whisper campaign casual messages to mutual friends, implying I'd taken credit for her work. Then the vague Instagram captions, some people build their careers off others and still sleep at night. Legal protection is self-respect. Just saying. Then the not-so-vague podcast interview, where she said, I can't speak on details, but let's just say, betrayal doesn't go unanswered. Ever. I stayed quiet. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I was letting her finish her story so I could end it properly. The letter accused me of intellectual property theft, brand defamation, and financial misrepresentation. It also stated that if I didn't issue a public apology and cease all related activity, a formal lawsuit would be filed within 30 days. She even had the nerve to attach screenshots cropped poorly and taken out of context from a shared folder we both had access to for over 2 years. I forwarded everything to Claire, my attorney. Her reply was 3 words, "This is laughable," followed by, "Let's win this slowly." See, here's what she didn't realize. While she was telling the world I was a thief, I was backing up the entire Google Drive. While she was implying I'd stolen her business plan, I was pulling up version histories that showed my initials on every draft 6 months before she even joined the project. While she posed online with fake outrage, I had email chains, contract agreements, and calendar invites that told a very different story. And while she sent a letter hoping to intimidate me, I had one thing she never saw coming: truth, with timestamps. What she didn't understand, what most people don't, is that suing someone isn't about emotion. It's about evidence. And when it comes to that, I don't play loud, I play long. 3 days after I received her letter, she posted a selfie with the caption, "They're quiet now. That's what happens when you bring lawyers in." Handled, protect your work. People clapped. People shared. People messaged me things like, "Yikes, are you okay? Did you really take her idea? Why haven't you said anything? I didn't answer." Because while she was gathering sympathy, I was preparing receipts. There's a moment right before the storm breaks, when the sky goes still and the birds stop singing. That's where I was, in that silence. Not because I was afraid, but because I knew she had already lost. She just hadn't realized it yet. I first met Lauren at a workshop I was leading downtown. It was one of those free networking nights, plastic wine cups, bad lighting, big ambition. I was presenting a case study on brand voice, and she sat in the front row scribbling like her life depended on it. Afterward, she came up to me and said, "You speak like you actually know what you're doing, not just talking theory." I laughed. "That's because I've lived it." She nodded and smiled. "Can I buy you coffee sometime? I have ideas, but I don't know what I'm doing." I remember pausing just briefly. Something in her eyes was sharp, too sharp for someone figuring it out. But I said yes. Because back then, I believed in saying yes to women trying to climb. That coffee turned into meetings. Meetings turned into collaborations. And eventually, I folded her into one of my early projects. She was eager, always volunteering to take on the little stuff, scheduling, formatting pitch decks, researching stats. "I'm happy to be in the room," she'd say. "I just want to learn." And she did. Quickly. Too quickly. Within 6 months, she was suggesting brand directions. By month 9, she was introducing herself to clients as co-strategist. I let it slide. Because she worked hard. Because she wanted it. And because I thought, what's the harm in sharing credit? Then the grant proposal happened. We were submitting a funding pitch to a local startup accelerator. It was big, $50,000, and 6 months of infrastructure support. I wrote the proposal myself from scratch. Every word, every line item, every diagram. She proofread it, sent it off while I was traveling, and listed herself as lead strategist. I didn't find out until we were shortlisted, and the website listed her name first. When I confronted her, she didn't flinch. I thought it would be better optics, she said. You're already established. They like a fresh face. I felt something crack. But I didn't pull out, because we were already in too deep. And part of me still thought, maybe she's just ambitious. It wasn't until the first real money came in that I saw her clearly. She began setting up separate meetings with clients, started forwarding invoices to a new email address she controlled. When I logged into our shared design platform, my access was restricted. She said it was a glitch. It wasn't. She was rerouting everything bit by bit until I was no longer looped in. That's when I began saving things. Quietly, methodically, every file, every version, every receipt, email, calendar, invite, shared doc, every invoice with my name stripped and hers inserted. I didn't say anything, not yet, because I knew that ambition, like hers, it doesn't know how to stop until it buries itself. The breaking point came when my client asked me, "Hey, why aren't you on the project anymore? Lauren said you stepped away." I hadn't. She had simply taken over the file, the correspondence, and the billing, and told everyone I was moving on. That night, I cried in the shower for a full hour. Not because I was broke, not because I didn't have other work, but because I'd built something with someone I trusted, and she turned it into a stage to stand alone on. A week later, she posted a 1-year celebration for her agency. A rebrand, a new logo, a story about starting from scratch with just a laptop and a dream. I wasn't mentioned, not once, not in the credits, not in the timeline, not even in the thank yous. I was erased, deliberately, efficiently. I could have lashed out then, could have exposed her, could have called clients, could have posted screenshots, but I didn't, because I knew something she didn't. She was writing a public script. I was building a legal one. And when the day came when the threats turned into action, mine wouldn't collapse under scrutiny. That's why when her lawyer's letter arrived, I didn't panic, because I had more than a response. I had a reconstruction of the entire relationship from day one, with documents, with records, with truth. She was betting that no one would dig deeper than her Instagram. But courts don't care about hashtags, they care about proof, and that I had in full color. Lauren didn't just send a letter, she launched a campaign. First came the Instagram stories' long, teary-eyed rants set to sad piano music. Then LinkedIn posts about the emotional toll of being betrayed by someone you once admired. Even TikTok's snappy finger-wagging soundbites, where she lip-synced to courtroom audios like she was auditioning for her own Netflix documentary. To her followers, she wasn't just a woman with a case. She was a woman wronged. It worked for a while. She got invited onto a podcast. The headline, "Fighting Back: A Female Entrepreneur's Battle Against a Silent Saboteur." Silent saboteur. That was me. Without saying my name, she painted a vivid picture. A woman who used her, who stole credit, who manipulated documents. And I stayed silent. But Claire didn't. My attorney had been tracking each of her posts, each media appearance, every timestamp, every word. She organized them into a digital folder titled Voluntary Defamation Archive, because that's what Lauren didn't understand. In trying to win the internet, she was losing evidence control. The more she posted, the bolder she got. She leaked parts of our project timeline, but edited out my name. She referred to our earliest work together as a team effort led by me and a few interns. She even shared a cropped screenshot of a shared document to prove authorship. But here's the thing, you can crop a screenshot. You can't fake the original file history. Google Docs doesn't lie. Dropbox logs everything. Slack archives are time-stamped. Every attempt she made to rewrite the narrative only gave us more to work with. Claire was meticulous. Each file Lauren posted became another nail, not in my coffin, but in her credibility. Then came the lawyer switch. Her first lawyer, a young guy with more ego than experience, realized Claire wasn't bluffing. After a 3-minute phone call where she listed our documentation strategy, he went silent. A week later, he withdrew from representation. That's when Lauren hired a name, a high-profile attorney with flashy PR, more concerned with media than merit. She posed with him in an Instagram reel. "When they go low, we go legal." Caption, "Let's do this right." Fro, team justice, yo, truth will win. What she didn't know was that the more public her fight became, the less defensible her position looked on paper. And court doesn't care about followers. It cares about facts. Claire prepped me carefully. Don't respond online, she warned. She wants a digital reaction. You give her one, and it becomes a headline. I nodded. So what do? You let her play on the surface, Claire said, while we build below it. We went through everything. Our original NDA, email chains with copyright timestamps, version histories showing my authorship, bank records for profit shares she redirected, contracts showing my name, not hers, on vendor agreements. It was all there, and none of it could be undone with an apology tweet. Still, it wasn't easy. People messaged me, some kind, most confused. You should really say something. She's making you look terrible. Did you really take her work? Each message chipped at my calm, but each one also fueled my resolve. Because every time I didn't answer, I wasn't surrendering. I was preserving the integrity of our case. Then came her biggest mistake. She launched a GoFundMe to fight the legal abuse, raised $12,000 in 3 days. In the campaign description, she named me outright, called me a former mentor, turned manipulator, accused me of stealing intellectual property, and claimed I weaponized legal intimidation to suppress another woman's voice. It was the first time she directly used my name. Claire was thrilled. Now we're talking defamation, per se, she said. Open, direct, and damaging with a financial motive. I stared at the campaign page in disbelief. She thought she was rallying support. But in legal terms, she had just handed us her whole argument, and then signed it. The court date was set, 2 months out. Lauren posted a countdown clock to her stories, 2 months until truth has its day. Claire and I just kept working. By now, our case file had grown to nearly 300 pages. Emails, invoices, original drafts, public statements, screenshots of deleted posts. We archived every single one. Even photos showing my name on event signage she later cropped out. I had no need to shout, because the louder she got, the clearer she made my case. Courtrooms don't care about likes. They don't care how many shares your video got, or how many people left heart emojis on your post about fighting for your truth. In court, all that matters is what you can prove. Lauren didn't understand that, but she was about to. The hearing was scheduled for 10 a.m. on a rainy Thursday. I arrived early dressed in navy with a small folder tucked under my arm. No entourage, no lawyer in Gucci sunglasses, no Instagram stories with "let's go" captions. Just me, and Claire quiet, focused, composed. Lauren arrived 10 minutes late, flanked by her new attorney, and 2 friends in heels who looked like they were expecting a networking brunch, not a deposition. She didn't look at me. I didn't need her to. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and sharper ears, opened the session by asking both attorneys for opening remarks. Lauren's attorney went first. He painted a vivid picture of betrayal. He called me a trusted figure who exploited proximity to siphon creative work. He said Lauren had emotional trauma and financial loss from having her voice stolen. Then came the props, edited screenshots, blurred file names, and a printed out Instagram comment that read, "This idea was 100% hers." Claire didn't object. She didn't flinch, because she knew emotional claims make noise. Receipts make decisions. When it was Claire's turn, she stood calmly, opened our binder, and began. "Your Honor, we have over 200 pages of direct evidence, including original project proposals authored by my client, time-stamped drafts with version history, signed NDAs, contracts with third-party vendors, payment records, and public statements made by the plaintiff under oath and online that directly contradict her claim." She laid down a stack of documents so neat it made Lauren's side look like a school project. Then Claire added, without theatrics, "This is not a dispute of memory. It's a dispute of truth, and we have it in writing." They called Lauren to testify first. She started strong voice, steady, rehearsed. She spoke about feeling erased, about how I took her ideas and acted like they were mine. She talked about long nights, unpaid hours, and the emotional damage she suffered when she found out the project was being published without her name. Then Claire stood and asked a single question, Did you contribute to the original pitch document for the Blue Harbor campaign? Yes. May I show you something? Claire held up a printed version of the document. This is the first draft. Do you recognize your name in the edit history? Lauren blinked. I don't know how that works. Let me help, Claire said. This printout shows my client as the sole author for the first 4 drafts. Your name appears in version 5 as a commenter. Lauren shifted. The judge leaned forward. Claire continued. You claimed in your video on March 9th that you wrote the original proposal. That video has been viewed over 80,000 times. Would you like to revise your statement? Lauren looked to her lawyer. He didn't respond. She mumbled, maybe I remembered it differently. Claire nodded. Let's talk about what you did remember, like the GoFundMe you started. Did you use my client's full name in that description? I was emotional. Were you emotional when you collected $12.347 under the claim that she had stolen your intellectual property silence? Claire turned to the judge. No further questions. Then it was my turn. I didn't have a speech, just a folder. I opened it and showed the judge. The original NDA, signed by both of us. A screen recording of a folder I created 6 months before Lauren ever worked with me. A PayPal record showing Lauren was paid as a subcontractor, not a co-creator. And a Slack message where she said, I can't believe I get to learn from you. I'm not qualified to be in these rooms yet. I read that one out loud. And for the first time that day, Lauren lowered her head. The judge didn't take long. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't smile. She simply said, the court finds that the plaintiff has failed to provide substantial evidence of ownership or creative authorship as claimed. Furthermore, the defendant has provided consistent and corroborated documentation of origination and contract terms. Case dismissed. And just like that, Lauren lost. She didn't cry. She didn't rage. She just walked out, fast heels echoing on the tile like the last notes of a fading melody. I didn't follow, because I didn't need closure. I had truth, and truth doesn't chase applause. It stands quietly and outlasts the noise. After the ruling, I didn't post a thing. No smug caption, no justice served meme, no passive-aggressive quote about truth winning. I went home, put my phone on airplane mode, and sat in the silence I had earned. Because in a world obsessed with being loud, I had chosen something else: clarity. You don't win cases like this in the courtroom. You win them the first time you decide to document instead of retaliate. When you choose to keep the file instead of send the tweet. When you say nothing, not because you're weak, but because you're building something stronger than noise. That's what I want people to understand. That silence isn't always surrender. Sometimes it's strategy. When someone attacks you publicly, the instinct is to defend yourself publicly, to match their volume, to remind the world you're not who they say you are. But I learned that the truth doesn't need to yell. It just needs to last. And it will if you protect it. With documents, with boundaries, with grace. I won. But I didn't feel victorious, not in the way people expect. There was no thrill, no triumph, just a quiet return to who I was before she tried to rewrite my name. And that was enough. Because she didn't just try to take my work, she tried to take my voice. And when the court handed back what was mine, it wasn't just a dismissal. It was a restoration. I share this story not to gloat, but to give someone out there what I didn't have. A reminder that you're not crazy for keeping records. You're not petty for saving screenshots. You're not overreacting for preparing a timeline. You're not alone. You're just paying attention. And someday you'll be glad you did. I used to think that if someone lied about me loudly enough, it would become the truth. But it didn't. Because what's written in truth will always outlive what's spoken in panic. And she panicked. That's what the lawsuit was. Not power, not justice, just panic dressed up as confidence. And when panic meets paper, paper always wins. Have you ever been accused, misrepresented, or dragged through public doubt, only to rise quietly with the truth? Share your story in the comments. Because some of us don't win with noise. We win with evidence. We win with restraint. We win when it matters most. Tell your truth. You're not alone. And your silence, it might be your superpower.